Hey everybody, Dr. Sanderson here. Welcome to Unit 4 of our course, where we're going to be talking about athletes and some of the ways in which they use social media, with a particular focus on how they use social media to express identity. So in the required readings, you're going to look at athletes who are using social media to kind of talk about their personality or their likes and things they like to do when they're not playing sport. And I think in those kind of ways, we see some really cool and really fun things with athletes and identity. So, for instance, you're going to read about a guy who plays for the Cleveland Browns named Gary Barnidge, who is a big movie guy, and he runs Twitter contests during the season about movie trivia. And so he takes the winners of those contests to the movies, so many times throughout the season, and that's kind of a cool thing to get to go to the movies with an NFL player. So. Twitter's really opened, and other social media as well has really opened some doors in that respect. Um, at the same time, while we're seeing kind of these ways to engage and identify with athletes, at the same time, we're seeing an increase in what I would consider hateful or critical messages sent to athletes. So, in some cases, these involve death threats. So, you'll see a couple examples through the announcements and such about athletes who are getting death threats. And, if you're a team, and the athlete, do you take these seriously? Do you notify security? So there's some really interesting kind of things there. And then if we move that down to some of the younger levels of sport, how do athletes deal with that? How are they able to process those kind of critical messages, and what might the effects of those kinds of messages be? And then, kind of one area where we're going to spend, I'd say a good amount of the unit focused on, and that's athletes using social media to express more of their identity when it comes to political and social issues. So, it's not uncommon if you go back in the history of sports to see athletes who, weighed in on social issues. So, Muhammad Ali was probably the best example we have of that. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he was an older basketball player in the 80s who, took some stands on some political issues. And we're, I think it's fair to say we're kind of in a turbulent time right now in our society, and we're seeing athletes go to social media to kind of give their take on what's happening with some of these issues. And on one hand, you can say that's good because hey, athletes are using their influence to raise awareness or to engage in advocacy. And on the flip side of that, those opinions the athletes share may not be popular with fans. We saw that this wasn't on social media, but if you remember a couple years ago, after the incident happened in Ferguson, Missouri, five Rams players ran out onto the field for pregame introductions with their hands in the air, doing the hands up gesture, and that angered the police officers there in St. Louis and a lot of the fans. And the fans were actually calling sponsors and telling sponsors to pull their advertising from the Rams. So that is an effect of athletes. Getting more involved in political and social issues and kind of speaking their mind on those things. So in the discussion forum, you're going to be asked to basically give your thoughts on that. Should athletes be commenting on social and political issues on social media? Why or why not? And then I want you to kind of talk through some of the implications for athletes as well as teams when they make those kind of comments. And so your initial post will be due, again, same timelines here. Your initial post is due Saturday by 11:59, and your two response posts are due Tuesday by 11:59. Remember as well, your social media policy is due in this unit, so you'll need to submit your social media policy by Tuesday, July 26th at 11:59, and there's links in the announcements and other parts of Blackboard for you to submit that document. So looking forward to your thoughts this week, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.